Hello, and welcome everybody to episode 3 of Tennessee 2's Disc Golf Podcast. Hope everyone is having a great day, and hope your holidays have been really good so far. My name is Ethan Jenkins, and my co host here. I threw it on you. What? Mm hmm. Yep. It was good. Mine was great. Uh, Other than the wife getting sick, but things like that happen. Mm hmm. At least it waited till after Christmas. You know, that was the key. Um, yeah. Mm-hmm. We actually went and looked at the lights the same day, just different sets. Yeah, remember? Because he was like, when I was messaging you, he was like, "Oh yeah, we went and done that earlier." Oh no, the table, it's broken.
Ooh, the stream. It's broken. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh
Oh, they
no.
can hear you.
They can?
Yeah, they can now. Talk again. It's not doing it again. So whatever you was doing just a second ago, do it again. No,
Oh gosh.
maybe I need to say something. No. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we broke it.
That's what we were looking for. We were
All
trying
right.
to break it today.
I fixed it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's do a little bit of a roll call here, real quick. Let you
Yep.
guys know what we're gonna talk about. Um, we had some news coming out with Nico LaCastro. We're gonna cover. PDGA announced some of their 2023 stops along the majors. We are going to give out our FPO award predictions, though way too early award predictions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few more rumors swirling around, including Kevin Jones. We're going to talk about a little bit. Last week we had kind of gone over the possibility of putting bag limits in place, and this week we're going to talk about the par difficulty and see how the pro circuit's going and
Mm-hmm.
see if there's something we can't maybe think about changing there. Then we're going to cover our 2022 goals for the amateur season
Yeah,
that the
for
both of us have.
ourselves. Yeah.
So
See, we got to get a little better.
we got some goals and we gotta hit some of them. So um, let's go ahead and get started then.
All right.
Nico LaCastro, he decided to part ways with Westside, or Westside decided to part ways with him. They call it
Yeah.
mutual. It's an early termination of contract, so it doesn't feel very mutual, regardless of what they
Right.
say. What are your thoughts?
I it kind of blindsided me, to be honest. Um, I, I thought Nico fit. Like I look at Nico and I see Westside.
Yeah,
Personally, I I really thought that he suited that brand very well, or the brand suited him very well.
I completely agree.
Um, and he had a Pro Tour win this year with Westside. I don't really know. I feel like it's got to be something to do with marketing. Um, the way he might be upset, the way that they've been pushing Matty O out. Um,
Yeah,
because there has been videos left and right of Matty O. This is his discs. This is what he's doing. This is this. This is that. And Nico didn't get that. um, at least not in
No,
this kind of spotlight.
no, I think I completely agree. It's always tough when you see that people quote unquote mutually agree to part ways. A lot of times it can be really true. A lot of times you see that maybe the company or in terms of like maybe football or baseball, especially with coaches, you'll see something where the coach is like, well, your front office is not giving me what I've asked for when I took the job. We're not making the moves for players I expected. And then the front office has the same kind of idea. So, well, you didn't do with this team what we expected either.
Right.
And then those are kind of those situations where you know the mutual agreement kind of makes sense. It felt like there were failures on both sides, and they both said, you know what, this isn't working anymore. I don't get that vibe with this move, though.
I don't
I,
either.
I really, I really get the vibe that there were unmet expectations on one side, and they both said, you know what, all right, well, I don't want to deal with that, so
Right.
we're gonna move on. And personally, I think it would come down to Nico more than Westside, but it's a little harder to tell because Nico doesn't social media like a lot of the players. So what you end up seeing in those kind of situations is that the company makes the announcement first, which is actually fairly uncommon
Right.
for what we've seen a lot this off season.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, West Side was the one who came out and posted it, and I feel like a lot of it might come down to the Matteo deal.
Yeah, I do too.
Um, I think that Nico came in, and his first thought process was he was going to be the face of West Side for at least the entirety of the deal that he had.
Right.
And bringing Matteo in means that he's going to lose revenue based on disc sales with his name on them because now they're going to start putting Matteo's name on a bunch of stuff. And that's the new and the latest and greatest thing. So people are going to go out and buy those discs. And that means that, Nico's going to lose a little bit of money. Um,
Which is
and I'm
possible,
not
but you
sure.
could look at it the other way too, as in it brings more sales to West Side in general, which could put more money onto Nico's plate if that's the way that his contract was worded. Because that could be another thing is like the
Yeah.
better the company does, the better I do. Or I could just be like, I'm making my money off of disc sales, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And given the prestige that Westside currently has, I would imagine that there is no clause in that sort of a contract that would say he gets more money just because West Side's doing better in general.
right,
You know what I mean? Being that he went in there to be the face of the company, essentially, I would say that that kind of a clause wouldn't be in there at the current time.
right,
But at the same time, if that is his motive for leaving, I don't know that I really agree with it because you can't walk into a company being the only signed player and then expect them never to sign anybody else, right?
right,
Especially in the disc golf world as it's growing right now, and you've got a lot of players who are coming in and out and looking for the next opportunities that they have. I I'd have to imagine if this was what he did, my first thought is that it was a little bit selfish. Just personally,
right.
you know, but again, everything we're talking about is all speculation. We have no idea. You know,
We're just
it
good at
could
speculating.
be for all we know, it could have been the other way around. And Westside said Nico's not playing the way that we expected him to when we signed him to the money that we agreed to pay him, and he's not worth what we're paying him.
Right,
And you know, and it could be what we talked about earlier with like NFL coaches and stuff. It could be a little bit of both. It could be Nico feels like he's going to lose money because of Matt, and that Westside feels there's not quite as much um, out of that contract that they were supposed to get originally.
right. What do you? All right, so let me hear. I love chat going right now. I love
Yeah,
it.
keep it
Thank y'all
rolling,
for
baby.
thank y'all for interacting. We really do appreciate it.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
and Where do you see Nico going? I have my ideas, but yours are a little bit further out there, I feel like. So I
Um,
want to hear those first.
you know, in terms of the next move for Nico, I think I wouldn't say that I have too much of a dark horse on this one. I feel pretty comfortable saying that I think he's going to move to a mixed bag this year. And I don't know if that means infinite or, like an OTB or maybe an EV7 contract or anything along those lines. But I'm pretty comfortable with the idea that he's going to play a mixed bag this year.
Right.
That
Yeah,
that
I can see
that's pretty
that.
much where I'm at. What do you think?
Um, I don't know. I could see OTB. I don't know how much more Infinite can do. They've done a lot, you know. Um,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Um, but
I I don't
I
really
mean,
know because my gut is telling me that Ricky's leaving Innova and Nico's gonna go to Innova. Um,
I think you call that's a dark horse right there. I like
yeah,
that actually.
that's my gut feeling. Now, is that the
Yep.
smart thing? No, but that's what's
No,
in
but
my gut. Um,
I I don't think that it's not the smart thing because assuming Ricky leaves, that you can check mark two major losses for Innova now this season and
mhm.
nobody to gain. You know, um, I think you see a lot more of Calvin Heimberg's face, in terms of
And Girthy.
Innova coming up this next season. Girthy should have a huge surge in terms of disc sales and stuff like that if Ricky leaves. But Calvin Heimberg will still be the face of the company,
Yeah,
I
I think
believe.
so too.
But um, that that could be something that benefits everybody a little bit because Innova brings in, somebody who is, a former major player,
Right,
and absolutely has the talent and potential to continue to do that and play like that again and win worlds, win USDGC. Absolutely has the tools in the bag to do that. Um, and I don't see a whole lot on the market right now. We'll talk about KJ later, with the rumors, but in terms of what I see, I don't see a whole lot of players moving towards Innova this year.
yeah,
So I think Nico could actually be really good for them.
yeah. Is Innova the dynamic of the past 2 years?
I
You know, that's.
I
Do we call this a
yeah.
rebuild? If Ricky leaves, would we consider Innova in the rebuild stage?
Um I couldn't tell you, and the only reason I say that is because I think how this next year plays out will determine that for us
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a rebuild if and only if Calvin Heimberg performs to his potential.
Right,
If he comes out because he's utterly capable of doing everything that Ricky did this year if he settles down and focuses specifically on his putting side.
right,
We know he's capable of being that good of a putter, you know, but can he keep the focus 4 rounds in a tournament and hit all of the putts he needs to? So it really depends. If Calvin Heimberg cannot turn that corner, then yes, I think we're seeing a couple of years of rebuilding for Innova to bring their name back up to the forefront.
right.
But if Heimberg does turn that corner, then no, not so much.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with that. I mean, what if Innova lost Heimberg and Ricky?
Um, then they would be about as well off as the Astros were 5 years before they won the World Series, which is to say they had a record of like 50 and 110.
Hey, bro.
So,
But their FPO field is stacked, really, though. You know,
yeah, but
um,
when I want to point this out, that's not the first company we've said that about.
that's true.
You know,
That is true.
FPO, but the thing is FPO is just such a different game because FPO is kind of the one side. Like MPO, that there's going to be a player somewhere throughout the DGPT that goes out and just utterly outperforms his capabilities. FPO, though, you always have the feeling that somebody who's not top five could go out there and win big tournaments that year.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah, you're
FPO.
right.
So in that case, FPO feels a little bit different. I think the power swings in FPO aren't quite as heavy as they
Yeah.
are on the MPO side. Um, but yes, they do have a good FPO team. But when you look at it, so does Dynamic, and so does Discraft, and yada yada yada. So
Does
FPO is just.
Dynamic?
I'd have to look at their team again, but they have
I
a couple.
don't know. I
They
mean,
have a couple of
they had
of
they had Paige Bierkis, which is Paige Shue now, but she's not played. Um, After she won Worlds, she kind of took a break, focused on family, and had a baby. And maybe I see her, on her Instagram, she's been playing a lot. So maybe she's coming back this year.
maybe it's time to come back around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
She was one of my
anyways,
favorite FPO players.
yeah, yeah, she had a good personality too. People tended to like her. There wasn't
When
like a whole lot of
because when I very first
hate for
started
her.
was the year that she won Worlds. Um,
Okay.
so there was a lot. Dynamic was pushing her name out a lot. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
all these
absolutely.
informational videos and stuff. I still remember her patent pending video.
Yeah,
She's still one of the best patent pending throwers in the game.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah. Um, Now that we've covered Nico, do you want to go ahead and go into KJ or?
Nah, we'll wait till let's keep it to fact here, and then we'll start once we start moving
Okay, okay.
towards prediction. We only got a couple more things to talk about, and these ones are going to go real quick, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
The first one I want to talk about is Worlds.
Yep.
Worlds, as we know, is the big major tournament that is going to rotate every single year. The bid winner this year ended up being Smugglers in Vermont. Um, what do you think?
It's at Jonesboro this year,
Yeah,
right?
next year,
Yeah,
2023 is
yeah,
the bids that we're talking about right now.
right. It was where was it? Was it Hornets
Utah,
Nest this year? No, that was DGPT. It was at
uh,
Utah, the
yeah,
Utah Open. What the
Ogden,
fort,
Utah.
the fort,
Yep.
and the other one. Okay, yeah. So it's going from Utah down to Kansas this year, right? And then Vermont in 2023.
Yeah, because they're playing Emporia this year,
I think so. I think it's
I
Emporia.
believe.
Yeah. So that they're definitely rotating it around heavily.
Yeah,
A lot of
which
people
is
are
pretty
super
usual for
stoked.
Worlds.
Yeah, a lot of people are super stoked. I've seen on social media about it being at Smuggler's Notch in 2023.
Yeah,
That is the northeastern swing is probably the touring professionals' favorite swing, and as viewers, it's probably one of our favorite swings as well. We get to see GMC and the
yep,
MVP Open.
yep,
It's a very good swing up there. A lot of
yep.
good competitive disc golf. Um, so I'm all for it. But does it still happen in June? Is is
Uh,
is what I wonder because
I have
usually
to
it's a
look.
little
Let's see.
later on in the year when they do the Northeast swing.
I think it's changing though because the cycle of the Pro Tour now being operated has obviously shifted severely. For example, the Music
Right.
City Open has shifted from one of the last tournaments of the year to one of the first tournaments of the year.
Yes.
Um,
And it's also just a silver series instead of a national tour.
yeah. So let's see. There we go. Nope, that was the wrong one. Where did
But
it
yeah,
go? I literally just had it up. Uh,
there was several of the stops that got knocked down to silver series. Um,
yeah, but yeah,
which is it's not a big deal. They get to work their way back up.
yeah, there
But
we go. Okay, so yeah, 2023 Jefferson, Vermont, which is Smugglers, and I don't think I see a date in here yet.
yeah, there probably won't be until the schedule drops at the end of the year this year.
But we know that they're going to use Brewster and Fox Run,
Right.
which I like.
I do too.
One of the reasons I really like Smuggler's Notch in that area, in particular, is that between those two courses, you really get the opportunity to go out there and win by being an in the middle player. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be a big bomber, you don't have to be the best woods player, but you do have to be sufficient at both to go out there and win. You know what I mean? So I think that's a pretty good one to go with. Obviously, we know that Ogden, Utah was rough. We know that Emporia is going to be good simply because they, they're capable of holding these types of tournaments. I think Ogden was just overwhelmed with
Right.
what they needed to do, and they just weren't prepared.
But it sure
Um,
did set up for a nice hole 18.
yeah, that sure did.
All the bleachers and stuff there. I really enjoyed watching that course. I know the players didn't necessarily care for it too much, but
Yeah, but I mean, I think the thing about Ogden was that the courses themselves were not bad courses. They were,
right.
difficult enough and definitely well designed enough to be a world championship course.
Hmm.
It was, they felt that the tournament directors and the people who handled the courses before the tournament did not do their jobs properly. For
Right.
example, I think it was hole 16 or hole 17, um, on, I can't remember which course it is, but there were a lot of holes that I know had really bad issues with their tee pads in particular.
Hmm.
They were using a lot of the fake grass tee pads, and a lot of them were like patched together or slipping
Right.
away, or and a lot of people weren't necessarily upset about the courses themselves, but just the preparation for the
Yeah,
tournament was
preparation
poor
and
and not done
conditions.
well. So when the conditions aren't good, and it's not that they're not good because of unexpected and unforeseen events like Music City Open,
Right.
where you had some tough conditions out there because of the remnants of hurricanes pushing through. This was pure oversight by the tournament directors and failure to get the course to the level it needed to be,
Right.
specifically on the tee pad side. So that's something that I know we're not going to see at Emporia, and I know we're not going to see at Smugglers. So I'm sure that
Yeah,
that
that's
kind of
one thing I'm
conversation should
really
be out the
excited
window.
about is to see how it's ran at Smugglers. I feel like it'll be
And
good. Yeah, I think it'll be ran really well at Jonesboro too.
yeah,
Um, I
um,
mean, that's a disc golf heaven. There is Emporia,
yeah,
Kansas. So
yeah. So that should all be really good. And I'm excited to see some of the changes that we make, because that I believe Smugglers would probably still hold another major tournament there, whether it's a Silver Series or something. And you know that they're not going to run the same layout that
right,
they do for Worlds. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do in terms of some basket movement or maybe some tee pad movement out there, and give us a little bit of a new look at the course and see what they could do. It's one of the things that I always love about Hornets Nest when they go back, is that every year there's a few tee pads that have moved another 40 feet back, or they've changed the look of the tunnel, that you have to throw through, and
right,
stuff like that. So that's one of my favorite thing about Worlds, is they're going to go to courses, but they're going to change the courses a little bit more than they would for the annual
right.
tournaments that are already there. So
Yeah, gives some that surprise factor.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's move on to the Champions Cup.
Okay.
Now this one's a little bit more controversial. The Champions Cup has been officially announced to be rotating in a similar bid fashion to what we're going to see out of um, out of Worlds.
Right.
Now, one of the things that I think is the downfall to Worlds is that I love that it's a rotating championship, versus like USDGC, which is held at the same venue annually. But one of the things that I don't like about Worlds is that we call it a World Championship, but Worlds basically never leaves the US.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love to see Worlds make it into another country every now and again. And obviously, there's problems in the current climate that make that difficult. We don't even know if we're going to have a European Championship this year. It's scheduled, but are we going to get to it and actually go forward? Who
Right.
knows? And I know that would make it difficult for Worlds to go there, but I would like to see Worlds be a world title and actually make it out into the world, like maybe even Japan a few times and stuff like that. But Champions Cup, a lot of people really liked the idea of doing that down in Appling, Georgia. Um, they didn't really have a major circuit that touches there every single year,
Right.
even though it's one of the best courses in the country. And a lot of people really loved that for the inaugural event. And there was a lot of hush hush, and nobody really talked about it. Are they going to rotate? Are they going to stay in Appling, Georgia? There was a couple people who even speculated that they might build a course somewhere,
Strictly
maybe
for
Innova
that.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, specifically for the Champions Cup. So now we've fast forwarded to today. We've had the announcements now that they are going to rotate it through a bid session. Um, so the winner for this one is going to be the toboggan course in Milford, Michigan. Um,
Yep.
I'll go first on this one. I love the choice of the course. I don't love the decision to rotate it
Right.
necessarily. I really liked the idea of having another consistent stop in terms of the majors.
Mm-hmm.
And even I really liked the idea of possibly building a world class course specifically for this new major.
Right.
Something to bring this major to the forefront and make it truly feel like a major, because I know it's a major event and they've labeled it as a major event, but it's the inaugural season, so we don't know how much it's going to feel like a major when the players are
Right.
there. You know, it feels like a major to the players because they know it's the big money and the big ones to win, but what can they do to continue to make that feel like a major in the future? And I don't think that a rotating major was going to make the right choice on this one.
Right. I mean, the only reason that Worlds works is because it has that title, World
Yep.
Championship. And technically, it should move around and out of the country. And, Australia 1 year, back in US, and then Europe, and then,
Yep.
wherever. Um, I, I don't know. I feel like the Champions Cup, they could have really worked something out with the new course that's being put in Arkansas, right? The Eagles
Yep.
Wing, Eagles Nest. Is it? I know it's
Um,
Eagle something.
Eagles, I believe it's Eagle. Yeah, Eagles Nest, I believe.
Yeah, Eagles Nest. But it's, I mean, who spends over $1 million building a disc golf course? He does,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's gonna be world class material, and
yeah. I mean,
something
it's
like that is rare. So
and
why
he
would you not try to do
even
something with that?
yeah, we've seen it already. Obviously, if you've
Mm-hmm.
watched like some OTB skins and stuff like that, we know that it's a beautiful course. He's admitted that there's still changes to be made and it's not completely done, but it is already at or above a championship level course.
Exactly. It's so
So
aesthetically pleasing too.
yes,
The
and it's
fountains, the
absolutely
way the holes are,
yep.
crazy.
The out of bounds lines are very elegantly designed
Mm-hmm.
because we know that players don't like OB. They want to play natural courses, but at the same time, when OBs are well done, it still makes for a very fun experience. And they've
Exactly.
done all of that and put it together. And I would love to see a course like that
Yeah.
be a, a regular stop on the national level. So I love Toboggan. I really do. I have no problem with the decision since they decided to go with a touring event, if you will. I don't have a problem with Toboggan,
Right.
but we're going to see Toboggan every year,
Yes.
and
Regardless of if there's
yeah,
a Masters or
yeah,
or not.
whether, yeah, whether it's, you know, what is it usually? Is it glass blown open at Toboggan?
D-Glow, right?
Yeah, Deglow. Okay,
Discraft. Yeah, because they're in Michigan. Discraft.
yeah.
Great
So
Lakes Open.
Great Lakes Open, that's right.
Yep.
Um, yeah, we know that they're going to stop there every year, and that's something I think that the majors, besides Worlds, should avoid
Right.
personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so that's my only thing. There, a lot of other things we could talk about, but
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah, we covered that pretty well. Mm, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna be excited if it plays. That way I can watch it.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna complain about disc golf unless it's just really, really poor.
No. All right.
Um,
Let's move from the world of fact from what we've seen and enter the world of pure imagination.
yes.
First thing we're going to talk about, if you guys remember last week, we talked about our 2021 MPO and FPO awards, and this week and next week we're going to go over some award predictions. They're not going to take us too long, but just keep it in mind that these are pure speculation. These are some things that might be a desire in our heart that we want to see more so than we really expect it to be, but also, you know, it's something that we have calculated at least a little bit that it's possible.
Right.
So with that in mind, our five awards, if you guys don't remember, are going to be the MVP, which is just like a player of the year, the putter king and queen, um, parking king and queen, and then you're going to have the comeback player of the year, and
And
then a
improved.
most improved. So, you want to kick off our MVP and what you expect?
Okay, so next year, I until proven otherwise, I will consistently go with Paige Pierce as MVP.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you don't have too much to say about
I don't think
it.
I even have to.
No,
She's just,
and
yeah,
I, I don't blame you. I'm gonna go off of that just a little bit, and kind of go. I want to go off the beaten path a little bit more, and my hope is to see Haley King as Player of the Year next year.
okay,
Um, I don't think the thing about Haley King is it's not like how we talked about Calvin Heimberg, where he really needs to turn a corner to be
right,
a player, to be the next Ricky. Haley King already has all the tools. She already uses all the tools on a regular basis, and she's very close. Um, all she really needs to do, if you look at it, is just make up a couple of strokes at a few tournaments, and she can easily beat Paige Pierce out for this award. So that's what I'm hoping to see. I really want to see her just pick up a couple extra strokes in a couple of tournaments, and I think she could be
right.
taking down the Player of the Year next year.
I can definitely see it. It's
Yep.
pretty open right now, but like I said,
Yeah.
until I'm proven wrong, until she's
Yeah.
proven wrong, please.
Yeah. Um, and then
For the
why don't you go ahead
putter
and go
of the
with
year,
your putter of the year?
um, I I'm gonna continue with Heather Young. I know that was my thought for this year as well, but she's a really good putter.
Yeah.
She's really good. So I'm gonna stick with Heather Young. Yeah,
All right. All right. I can totally get with that. Um, yeah, actually, I have no complaints. I am going with Heather Young as well.
all
She
right.
was,
Yeah.
she's just that much better in terms of putting,
Mm-hmm.
specifically from Circle Two. We know that Paige takes a little bit too many chances when it comes to that sort of stuff. She runs a lot of putts that she shouldn't, and sometimes it's going to get her into trouble. So one of the things that you see at a Paige that you're not going to see out of a lot of players is back-to-back Circle Two putts because of
Right.
some dangerous runs. Haley King could make a run at it, but I still think that Heather Young is the best putter on the circuit right now in the FPO side, and I think she will continue that this year.
Yeah, I agree. If not, extend it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um,
Um, Parking Queen.
so I'm gonna go a little bit out on this one, and I'm going to I for my predictions for 2022 or 2021. Um, I thought it was Kristen Tatar, right?
Okay.
Um, hopefully we get to see a lot more of the Europeans, Estonians and such this
Yep.
year, you know. But I am going to go with Haley King as my parking queen. Um,
Okay.
I think that she does improve a lot this season. I think a lot of them do.
Yep.
Um, And to go along with your MVP, Player of the Year statistic, um, if she's parking holes, she doesn't have to worry about the head game so much, you know?
Yeah, absolutely not. Um, One of the things that we really saw on both the MPO and the FPO sides were um, the more consistent that you were hitting circle one, circle two in regulation and parks as well, the more likely you were to be going out there and taking the wins.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think I definitely don't have any complaints about that. You ready for me to go?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, you and I are gonna flip flop here. I think that, um, like I said, I think that Haley King really just needs to come out and take a few strokes back in terms of how she's played to come out and be the MVP next year.
Hmm.
However, she was behind in basically every statistic when it came to um, those kind of things. She's behind in
Right.
fairway hits. She's behind in parks, circle ones and circle twos in regulation. She is way behind, and even still, she went out there and put on an absolute show. So for me, I think that she can still go out and win the MVP award without going out and being the highest parked circle one percentages, maybe even circle two. I think that to be MVP, Haley King needs to bring her parked percentage from 9% last year up to maybe 11%, which still would not be up with Paige
Right.
Pierce and Macy. I really think that Paige is still going to continue to be the parking queen.
Hmm.
Um, and that's just my view of it. I think she's too good off the tee or out of the fairway compared to most of those players. And yeah, she takes a lot of risks, but she takes a lot of risks because she has an arm talent that's above most of that community, if you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
So for Haley King to go out there and be MVP, she doesn't need to get to Paige Pierce's level from last year. I don't believe in
Right.
terms of those particular statistics. Um, but she does need to take some strokes back. You know what I mean? So that's my choice on Paige, and that's why.
Okay. So I was confused. I didn't know who you was picking for parking queen. Okay.
Nope,
I
no,
see. I
it's
see. All
Paige.
right. For the comeback player of the year, female, I am going to say Kona Panis.
Okay.
Um, she started off the year hot. She really did well. Thought she had found her putt, and then had to go back to the drawing board. So I think she's going to have it figured out this off season and going to come out swinging. And I think she gets the comeback player of the year.
All right. Um, I'm going a little bit off the cuff. I'm gonna go with Des Redding.
Okay.
Um, Obviously, the biggest reason she qualifies is she hasn't toured in a little while after having a hip replacement surgery, and she
Mm-hmm.
expects to play a full tour this year. And we had kind of talked about it earlier, but she's actually who signed with Discs or Mint Discs
Oh, okay.
for 22. Obviously, we know she's capable of being that player. She is completely capable of doing what Corver did this year and winning a you know rookie of the year kind of campaign, depending on their rules and how much she's played. But um, she, I think, is the most likely to be a comeback player of the year just based on the rules and the concept and the caliber of player we know her to be. Um, it's a little bit of a dark horse pick because hip replacements are especially touchy, and we
Right.
don't know. She says she plans to play the whole season and play the whole tour, but we don't know if her body's going to hold up to that. So it's
Right.
completely possible that she's not going to be capable of finishing out the tour, which would obviously diminish her chances for that type of an award greatly.
Right. But I like the pick. Um,
Yeah.
and for our last section is most improved. Um, and I'm gonna go with who should have got Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Um, in my eyes, I Stacey Ronsley, I think will be the most improved. Um, we see her in the top 30 a lot. Um, I think she pushes those into top 10s and top 5s this year.
Okay.
And that I feel pretty confident in that actually. She's doing her thing, she's touring, she's got it figured out, she knows what she wants, she's going to get it. Super
Okay.
upbeat personality as well. So I look forward to it.
All right. For my most improved, I think I'm gonna go with Macy Veladiaz.
Okay.
Um, I think for her to go ahead and take this award, I think she needs to play a full season, which she has not done yet. And then I think she needs to win at least 2 events.
Right.
Um, she's obviously capable of playing at the top level. She took fourth place at Jonesboro. She tied for third at the DD Open. She placed third in the Music City Open and seventh in the Throw Pink. And she did not perform quite as well outside of that. But again, in terms of the actual season, she didn't
Right.
play that much. So she needs to play a full season to be most improved. She needs to win. I want to say she has to absolutely win at least one, probably at least two, for
Right.
me to really consider her the most improved. And then she needs to be top 10 finishes. I would say, what do they have? 12 stops. I'd say she needs a top 10 finish, including those 2 wins, probably 9 out of those 12 stops.
Yeah, I don't see that.
No,
not
but
with
I
not with
think
the
she's
Europeans back over.
no, but I think
But
she's
best of luck.
talent.
You know what I mean? I
She's
think anybody
she's
can do it.
yeah, she's talented enough. She has talent, but just like any player, she needs to put it all together and
Hmm.
make it consistent all the way through. And because you know what, it would be cool to see somebody from Tennessee come out
Yeah,
and really wreck it up on the FPO side.
I know.
So
That would be awesome to say the least.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
um and best of luck for sure.
Yeah,
Hopefully she can get that done.
yeah. I really, I hope so. That would be cool.
Hmm.
Um, all right. Continuing our world of pure speculation, let's talk about KJ,
Yep. Mr. Kevin Jones.
Mr. Kevin Jones. We joked around last week about this,
Yeah.
um,
I just
and
happened to bring it up that I'd seen him talking to Jeff Corns, and then the next thing you know, he's on with the disc golf guy. And oh, speaking
yep,
of which, let me just tell you, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
I
like, mm,
the timing couldn't have been better. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so, anyways, for
I,
those of you who haven't seen yet, there's a little information that came out on Twitter um, that seems to be pretty well authentic in terms of it actually being an interview with Kev. Basically, he said that his contract is up this season, and we should be expecting an announcement soon. Now, I don't want to get too crazed about this
right,
because that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could be that we know his contract's up and he's renegotiated and he's going to stay put, but it's going to be for something bigger than we saw before. Maybe even a contract for him so large that he's actually going to announce the monetary values.
right.
However, I'm more inclined to think that he's leaving.
Okay.
Um, and for me personally, I don't have anything to say in particular that would support this. It's more of a gut feeling. But as we all know, and maybe even can agree on this, I consider him to be the unluckiest player on the tour. He goes out there and
Yep.
has the worst breaks when he's in the best positions more than anybody else on the tour. And you know what? You take so many bad breaks, maybe you start thinking about the silly stuff. One of the things we saw was really funny that floated around disc golf Twitter this week was somebody had kind of put out a post that said something about stop blaming the discs. Maybe it's just you, or if you keep blaming the discs, you're never going to get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And that floated around a lot of disc golf world. We saw a lot of
Yeah.
people from Foundation tweeted out, a couple of big names tweeted it out. It was really funny.
Yeah. I enjoyed
However,
that.
however, when you're a caliber of player like Kevin is, eventually maybe you start thinking in your brain, maybe it's not me, man. Maybe it's
Yeah.
the discs.
Maybe
Maybe
it's
it's
the disc.
time for a change, you know? And I'm not going to disagree with that. Look, I played baseball pretty much from the time I was 10. I played baseball for at least, 2 seasons every year, like a spring and a fall, from 10 years old to 20 years old, essentially.
Right.
And let me tell you, the superstitions are real, man. You go 0 for 20 with a bat or a certain batting glove or a certain pair of socks or a certain pair of shoes,
Mm-hmm.
bro, those are out the window. You were changing something to break that streak.
Right.
Now, I was never that kind of a player. I think I only had in my entire career one streak that went 0 for 15 ever. But I will tell you, the number one thing that I did was I changed my bat.
Right.
Um, because I had changed my bats before that season started, and I did pretty well at the beginning of the season. Everything was working well, and then I hit that 0 for, and I was like, all right, I need to change something. Something's not right. And the first thing my dad and I did was we looked at my form and said, is there something that we could change about it? I was lucky enough to be coached by somebody named Andy Dominique, who was a catcher for the Red Sox when they won in 2004. Um, Fun fact, I've actually had the privilege of holding some World Series rings, and let me tell you, they are heavy. If you've never held a World Series ring, that sucker falls in your hand and it weighs your hand down. That thing is heavy. So, but we had the beauty of going through him and saying, look, nothing on your form looks wrong. It looks like you're swinging as we've kind of prepared you to do this season. Sometimes strings of bad luck just happen, and that's just how it is. But I went out there, I changed my bat, and after a week, I was starting to hit like normal again. So
Right.
that bat never made it into my baseball bag again. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Kevin go and maybe think about doing something with a new company, see if he can't break the streak of bad luck he has going.
Right. um, I he's done so much this offseason with Prodigy though. Is the only that's the only thing. And I think he resigns. Um personally, I do. I think he stays with Prodigy. Uh but I'm just saying it would be really cool if he did sign with Discraft and we had they have the nuke, but we could totally have a KJ grenade.
Yep.
I'm
Oh yeah.
just saying that would be sick.
I
Make a
think,
specific grenade disc for him.
and even yeah, even if we didn't do that, I think we might see something new on the um, distance driver side
Mm-hmm.
if KJ joined. So I'll go ahead and make my prediction. So since you said he's going to stay, I think he's going to leave, and I think it's going to be Discraft.
Yeah,
And my heart says no, but my brain kind of says yes. I feel like Discraft doesn't need anybody else on their team, but they've had such a surge of success the last couple of years. They have the capital for it.
they do.
So, um,
You know who else has got
we
capital for it? Discmania.
Innova. Oh,
No, Innova. I don't know if Innova does or not, bro. But
no, we know Innova has money,
like
especially if Ricky leaves.
Discmania, they can't keep anything in stock. Like,
No.
and it's not the fact of the amount of pieces either. It's just everybody is like so die hard into getting anything and everything right now.
Well, you have to.
There's a lot of excitement about the brand after the whole Innova shift right now.
Yeah, there is, but you also have to remember the Innova shift of itself because the Innova shift happened in the middle of supply chain shortages. So that means that they started their shift when they weren't able to get the materials they needed
Which was
to.
great, honestly, because nobody could. So therefore, they
No,
wasn't falling behind.
they weren't falling behind, but it also means that they are a little bit more behind now. And I say that in concept of they went out and they had to make new molds, they had to design a new plastic, technically. And then they had to order that plastic, and plastic has been the number one shortage in terms of every company. And to go out there and create a full new lineup that everybody is excited for has also put them way behind. So that's kind of the struggle. There's a 50% struggle there. I mean, we're gonna talk about it later, about some of the stuff that we both got for Christmas. But I'm gonna bring one up for you right now. Is that Cloudbreaker,
Yeah,
the DD3 Cloudbreaker,
that one.
and the Cloudbreaker right now, if you guys haven't seen, brand new ones that have never been thrown right now are going for like $300 on eBay currently, and they are nigh impossible to get unless you're willing to pay some money.
Yeah, I don't.
Um,
That one is strictly luck. The way that that happened. I was sitting there. I was waiting. I had my stuff in, and I still got rejected. But somehow my mother-in-law didn't get rejected, and that was my Christmas.
yeah,
So
no idea how.
I don't either. Um,
That was really cool. But
but did you
anyways,
get? What
no,
about? I got another
that's
question
my prediction.
before you cut it off at Dismania. I got another question. um, what do you think of the Rainmaker? Have you watched the videos
Uh,
on it?
okay, so my thoughts of the Rainmaker might not be very nice. Um, it's a slower Luna.
It looked way more shallow than a Luna, though.
Lunas are very shallow
What?
because basically the way they talked about it is they're like it's going to be a more shallow version of the P series essentially.
Yeah,
And
the
that
P2.
the P the P series, like I have a P2 in my bag, and it's the only putter that I have that I cannot fan grip because it's so deep. And the Luna, besides the Envy that's in my bag, is the shallowest um, putter that I have.
Okay, I could
It's the
see I
it,
could see
it's
it
the
being more
easiest one.
shallow, but the Luna is
Um,
not shallow. Um, a
no, but
pure is shallow. A proxy
yeah,
is shallow. You know what I mean? Like a Luna is glidey for a reason. You know what I mean?
right, right.
But yeah,
But
as far as like
it,
to the P2, yes, it's probably a little more shallow than the P2.
yeah, so I don't the way that they talked about it, and also the way that it looked out of his hand when he was throwing it. Um,
Looked
I
understable.
don't think it's that shallow. I don't think it's like Envy shallow because Envy's very close to being like a mid range in terms of how shallow it is.
I don't know. I'll let you know. Let you
But
know because I did get a
yeah,
box.
yeah yeah no for
I
sure.
I
But
did
yeah,
get one. We'll do a little review.
I don't think it's a bad thing
Hmm.
if it is, you know. But it
Right.
looked, and the other thing to me was the overall shape of it because they beveled the edges a little more like a Luna.
Yeah, I seen that.
So from the thing about the Luna is that and this is part of the reason why it probably feels a lot more shallow and why I talk about it being shallow, is that the dome bevels off. So if you guys are imagining, the shape kind of goes like this,
Just grab it.
and
It's
then it
right behind
bevels
you.
down. Yeah, well, it might be pretty hard to see with this camera. It won't focus if I get it close enough. But it comes out, it bevels down, and then it curves around the bottom, whereas the P2 is mostly just out, and then it's very long and deep curve. And I think that bevel is what makes the Luna feel so much more shallow, is that because it bevels down towards the rim and the way that it comes off your hand, that means the rim is only going to be this deep as opposed to the P2, which is this deep. So because of that bevel, it feels more shallow. And the Rainmaker looked like it had a very similar type of a bevel. And that's part of why I looked when I first saw that video. I was like, it's kind of a slower Luna.
I don't know. See, you've. We're gonna have to do a Twitter poll. Is the Luna considered shallow?
We could.
I can't see it. I think I could well
Actually,
be
you know what?
wrong.
Fine. I'm gonna grab the P2, which is actually sitting in the chains, and I'm gonna grab the Luna. We're gonna look at them real quick.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You know how it was so upsetting to see him take it out of the basket and not hear
What was that?
chains. I said it was so upsetting to see you take it out of the basket and not hear chains.
Not hear the chains. Oh,
Yeah, I
Discord.
was just like,
Discord would have
it's yeah.
taken that out. Anyways. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of look at these shapes real quick, if we
Hmm.
can. So you're kind of going to see what I'm talking about there, where it has a very steep bevel from the dome, which is fairly flat on the top, but it bevels very heavily right here.
Hmm.
You see that bevel?
Yeah.
It comes down, it's a very rounded edge right here, and then underneath, it's only about half of my pointer finger in
Right.
terms of that first knuckle versus the P series, which has a bevel, but it's also much taller,
It
and
is
you can
much
see
taller.
that the rim, how deep that rim is right there, and it has a bevel on the rim, which means that it has to be deeper just in and of that. And this one is nearly all the way to my
That's like
knuckle.
3/4.
So this, I cannot fan grip this because of the fact that when I get my fan grip underneath, I like to be able to touch my pointer finger to the flight plate when I fan grip,
Right.
and then my knuckles kind of resting along the rim, and my pinky is actually holding the rim when I fan grip. Okay, I cannot do that with this disc. It's way too deep for that, and a lot of putters are like that.
Hmm.
Putting putters, but the Luna was designed in mind to be a putting putter that was throwable.
Yeah, very
So, and
glidey
then
putting putter.
and that's what we kind of got. Now, the flight numbers, if I remember correctly, on the Rainmaker were 2301. So it has less fade than a blend Luna, but he also mentioned that you're going to get a different fade depending on your plastic, which is the same with the Luna. The harder
Right.
Lunas do not fade. The stiffer Lunas don't have that fade. Both of them have an understability to them.
I like how
So,
they didn't talk about the actual plastic though, the Flex 2 and Flex 3. Like,
nope, they just said one was soft and one was firm.
yeah, but we know nothing of those plastics. You know what I mean?
Nope.
That's
No, but he did, and that was another reason why I thought of it a little bit like a Luna, was because from the way that I took it when he talked about it was they specifically designed the blend of plastic for the putter,
mhm.
which is exactly what they did with the Luna as well.
Which is yeah, that could be very well possible. Kind of
So,
like Paige did with the Fierce.
yep,
Blended the ESP and the Jawbreaker.
the Jaws P,
Yeah, Jaws
the
P.
Jaw, we call it the Jaws P.
The Jaws P.
So,
Yeah.
so that's my thought process. Of course, we're not going to know anything until we get our hands on them, anyways.
Yeah.
I know, it could be as close to a Luna as a Valkyrie is to an AVR.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know.
That's
This is just
w-
speculation.
yeah,
But I see. I didn't get that out of what I had seen, so that made me interested. I guess seeing what
yeah.
you had thought. Um, I just couldn't help but notice like it didn't really show him putting with it much. It was always like throwing it at the basket from short ranges. Um,
Yeah,
I was like, why?
but
Like I know you can putt that.
Eagles is a spin putter anyways,
He is, but
so it's
think
gonna come out
about
of his hand more like a throw than like a push putter. He's not gonna nose down it like Calvin would or something
but
like that.
he was throwing it.
Yeah.
And it was turning. You know what I mean? Like
hmm
it
And
just
I mean, he was hyzering it over to a turn, which is another reason why I thought of the Luna, because the when the Luna gets past the first 10 hits in the basket, you can turn it over with ease. You don't even have to throw it hard.
see mine wasn't
And
like that. I must have had a freak. Like
maybe,
it was like
maybe
zone
you didn't. It might also be that you didn't use yours as long as I did. But
true.
again, the other thing is, what was yours, the special blend or the tour series or
No, it wasn't Tour Series.
was it the?
It looked just like your green one.
Oh, okay.
Is what it looked
Yeah,
like.
and I mean, I found basically after one day of practicing putting with it, the flight path changed so dramatic it wasn't even funny. And it's possible that I have the freak, but
Maybe.
I've watched some people. I mean, the Luna turns very easily for most people, which is why a lot of people don't throw the special blend, the putter blend.
Yeah, they throw the Tour
Um,
Series mainly.
yeah.
Or
So
the
that's
Crystal Lunas.
yeah, which is just a hair off from the tour series when we look at it.
They're a little bit
But yeah,
more stable, right?
yes, because the tour series I think is a special blend as well. But I think it's softer, more towards an ESP,
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to be a little more understable, and the Z is obviously going to be more overstable. I think there's a the tour series actually might have been something more akin to a big Z as opposed to ESP actually, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it. But yeah, no, I'm excited for him, but you can only get so excited about putters, especially one that's probably not even going to hit my local store.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I guess
that's it.
we will go ahead and wrap it up pretty soon because
Yeah.
Casey
We
just
don't.
the wife just
Yeah.
came in here and showed me her temperature and it's not great.
No. No.
So
Yeah. We
we'll have
don't.
to
We don't
cut.
have a whole lot more to talk about.
Yeah, we'll have to cut this one short.
But let's. We'll talk about par difficulty in the pro circuit next week, guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Um. But let's talk about our next year goals before
Okay.
the new year.
Yeah, we can do that real quick. As of right now, I am rated as a 848 is my rating. Um, my goal by the end of 2022 is to be in the 900s. That is my goal. I want to be at least 901. 900 is not good enough. I want 901 at least.
You got to be above 900, not at
Yep.
900.
Which 52 points, 53 points is a pretty big jump, but I can do it. I feel like I can. Just
Yeah.
gotta
Oh,
play many more tournaments.
yeah, I agree. And part of the difficulty with ratings as well is um, going out there and playing semi good on a much more difficult course. A lot of times it's better for your rating than playing really good on a soft course.
Right.
So, like your rating right now kind of doesn't, I think, imply exactly what you're actually capable of doing.
Right.
Because official rating is only related specifically to that last tournament, correct?
Right.
You
The
don't have
average
anything else in
round
your rating?
rating.
Okay. So one of the things I noticed, and I don't know, I've never been to that course, so I want to kind of put that out there. But SSA for that course, I think, was much steeper.
13 down
Um, yeah, for so
for
basically,
scratch.
yeah, so 900 rated means that you have to go out there and play
Probably 5 or 6 down
five or six down
every round.
every round. And you given the course that I saw, you're 100% capable of doing that from everything that I've
Right.
seen about that course. From keeping in mind, guys, I haven't been there, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
think I
layout
think
was
SSA,
pretty easy.
yeah. So for um the next tournament that you're playing in, that one's a little bit more difficult because that's a pop up course, I believe.
Right.
But that one's kind of a big bomber course,
It
right?
is. It is a golf course, bomber course. Yeah. So we'll
So
see. I think it'll par a little harder. Um.
yeah, I think you
So
could go out there. I think you'll be capable of shooting the same, 4 or 5 downs at
yeah.
that course. I
Hopefully.
think you will be capable and
Yeah. Capable
actual
and
performances.
doing is a little different. I understand
Yeah,
that, but I gotta do
well,
it.
I think you'll be able to go out there and shoot 900 for sure.
Hopefully.
I won't be there, but
No,
I'll
but you'll
watch.
be at the next one. So
I will be. I will be. Any other goals?
honestly, that's the main one. Maybe we do like a midterm review, and if we've hit those goals by then, we set some steeper goals. Um,
All right.
one more goal that I want is to find my bag. Um, I carry so many extra discs that are like pending to go in my bag It's like, where do these fit in? Do I need these? I would like
Yep.
to limit myself to like 20 total,
Yeah.
including putters. Um, and I've got my three putters, and I feel very confident with those. Um, so I would like to get to 17 discs total, um, of mids, fairways, and distance. And I would like to add some mids and get rid of some distance because I only have two mids, overstable and understable, and that's it. So
Yeah, and we know you want to add an MD1.
yeah,
Both of us really would like to add an MD1. If anybody knows where we can get one where we're not going to spend $100 on it,
yeah,
let us know.
yeah.
Because I want to add an
Reach out
MD1
to
in my
us.
bag as well.
Um, but yeah, I would like to simplify my bag, get some backups um, in the works as I'm working discs instead of trying to work them in the bag, work them
Sure.
into being replacements. That's where I would like to be.
All right.
Um, yep. What about you?
Okay, so um, my goal. So I've never competed at uh, sanctioned events. I've done a lot of events before. I've even played some tournaments that were like full scheduled and run like a PDGA, but I've never played sanctioned events. Um, I really tried very hard actually to be number 200,000
Right.
exactly, and it escaped me by a couple of hours.
So
So
what did your
that was
number
really
end up
sad.
being?
200, 371.
Oh dang.
So yeah, it was a couple of hours that I missed it by, which I knew it would. I was hoping it wouldn't, but then when they reached like 199 900, and then they posted about it, and this was on Christmas Eve, I might add, and I was
Right.
planning on signing up literally on Christmas, because it was the only reason I didn't sign up early was because it was one of my Christmas gifts because
Right.
I asked for it for my membership this year. Um, so I didn't get the chance, and I almost signed up early, but PDGA and a bunch of people on Twitter kept posting about it basically hourly until they reached 200
Right.
exactly. So their Twitter push actually pushed me out of the running for it because if
Yep.
they didn't do that, I would have been able to time it at least to be close or one of the very first of the 200s.
Yep.
So there went that. Anyways, um, my goals. I don't have an official rating yet. My unofficial ratings generally put me around 850 to 900, depending on the course and the day. Most of the time, if my putting is on, I'm pushing 900 pretty consistently. And if I'm not, then I'm pretty far down. So my goal is not to necessarily have any specific rating at the end of this year, but I want to be going out there and I want my last like 3 to 4 tournaments in a row all finish 900 rated average and above.
Right.
So that's where I'm looking to be, and then we'll see where we go from there. If I can go out there and by June or July be already doing that, then maybe I start pushing myself a little bit farther. Maybe I look at 925 as a number I want to hit at the end of the year. But right now,
Right.
I'd like to go out there and have my last 3 to 4 tournaments in a row finish 900 rated or above.
I
So,
agree.
um, I kind of have a similar thing as well. I want to nail down my bag a little bit better. Um, my fairway drivers and my mid drivers, my kind of in between, the slower distance drivers, you could call them, are very well set. But my distance drivers are very up in the air. The only
Right.
thing that I throw consistently above a 10 speed is a shrike. And I would love to maybe get 1 or 2 more discs in there that I get comfortable with, preferably on the more understable side. Um, because the Shrike is very great to get out there and use, but it requires a good heave to get it to turn over properly and fade, go right, and then fade out
Come back
naturally.
without it turning and burning.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the power to turn and burn that unless there's a headwind. It's a 13 speed.
Mine
That's
always turns them
a hug.
on a hyzer flip, but it's star plastic too.
Yeah. Well, mine's a star, but mine's stiff and it's a flat top, not a dome.
Right.
So that affects it. Mine's naturally more overstable than the pop tops that most people have.
Yeah,
So,
mine's
and
very popular.
I chose it very particularly because I prefer flat tops to pop
Yeah.
tops. But I'd like to get maybe something in the 11 or 12 speed that I'm really comfortable turning over and not losing. That's been
Hmm.
the hardest one for me to find to put in my bag. Um, and then in terms of adding to my bag, I want to get a really comfortable throwing putter, and I haven't been able to do that yet. I've been messing with a lot of stuff recently, and I think that something that's in my bag, I think I can get that MV to work for me, but I just haven't been able to nail it down yet. So I'm
Right.
not sure if it's going to be the disc I need. Because throwing putters can be very touchy. You a lot of times you start getting a throwing putter that's really overstable, like a zone, or you get something that's just, you know, you have to apply the right amount of power or it's going to flip on you.
Right.
And putters are a little
You should
more
try
touchy, so I'm trying
Penrose.
to maybe.
They don't flip.
I'm thinking of trying, but I that's the thing is I want something that I can get out there and fade right,
Not a Penrose.
but not flip.
Yeah,
So
not a
I'm thinking
Penrose.
the new one that they're coming out with,
Mobius, possibly.
maybe,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Penrose is not
Um,
gonna go right. It's just not.
no. And
It's
then
yeah.
my other goal is to play at least 10 sanctioned events this year.
Right. Nice.
So,
I dig it. Like I like the 2022 M season goals.
he is.
I like it, and hopefully by about June we can up those.
Yeah,
That's 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 really good. That's where we need to be.
yeah, I feel I hope so. I
Yeah.
hope we can. I mean, because our 900 rated goals aren't too far off from each other. Mine's just a little bit different format than yours, but hopefully
Hmm.
we can both get to June and say the next
All
step.
right. Well, yeah. Let's hit 925, 930, whatever. You know.
Yeah, because I mean, if I can get to June and my last three events in a row were rated 900 and above, then I'll start maybe looking at my actual physical rating and trying to get it to a certain number.
Right.
But for
Agreed.
me, most importantly, the actual player rating isn't so much important to me. It's consistently throwing rounds of a certain caliber I'm looking for.
And the player
So,
rating will come with that. So as
yep, yep.
long as you don't have some flukes here and there.
Oh, which I will.
Yeah.
Until I nail down the putting form I'm really comfortable using, which I think I've figured out the form I want to use. Now it's just
Doing it.
delegating it to muscle memory because I
Right.
think about it too much right now. But it's the most comfortable form I found. But I still have to think about it, and when you think about that many moving parts all at the same time, something misses.
Mm-hmm.
So like the last time we went out and played um, with Jesse, my biggest issue was soft releasing. I wasn't gripping the disc as firmly as I needed to.
Right.
The form was there, the lines were there, but a lot of times I was hitting front cage or the pull low because I was soft gripping it, and that comes from thinking because I'm thinking about the arm angle and my foot and my footing and my kick and my body release, and something has to fall until you get everything down to muscle memory.
Right.
It's just that's just natural. So, but I got that for Christmas,
You can't complain about that.
and that means I can go out there and I'll probably download that putting app.
Yeah,
I
circle
never remember what it's called.
uh perfect putt 360.
Yeah, that's the one. Get out there and try to do that at least once every day, and then hopefully in about 2 weeks or so, the muscle memory will naturally kick in for me.
Nice. I think so.
I think so too.
Got to put it. You just got to stick with it and do it. That's
Yep.
that's gonna be the main thing. Um. All right.
All
Well,
right,
I
y'all.
hate to cut it short, but I do have to.
Now it's okay. Luckily enough,
We got past
the
the hour. Yeah.
disc golf world was quiet this week, so we both kind of wanted a little bit of a shorter episode just because Christmas and New Year, we had a lot going on last week.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, the disc golf world was quiet enough for us to not need 2 hours to go through everything
Right.
like the last week. So,
Yep.
um, next week, I don't see the episode being too crazy long. I think a lot of our new announcements coming out. So, unfortunately, I have to point this out. Ricky did not sign on Christmas Day or the day after.
Yeah, I know.
So, I said sometime I was going for like
You said
the
January 2nd.
second January 2nd, which now that I'm thinking about it, probably January 3rd, just because that would be Monday as opposed to a Sunday when a
Right.
lot of their offices will be closed. But um, yeah, hopefully too much doesn't happen before then. Next week we'll probably do another little bit of a shorter episode. Still a lot of family stuff, holidays going on, so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. Um, so expect about an hour next week, and then after that, we're gonna start kicking and ramping back up towards 2 hours again.
Yep. Sure enough, and with some surprise guests as well.
So, ooh, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that more
Yeah, we will. We
later.
will. But guys, thanks so much. We're gonna close it out. I appreciate everybody for coming through, and for the people that are going to be listening through podcast, we really appreciate you. They're not on podcast networks yet, but they will be.
Yep.
And if you're hearing this future, in the future, definitely come check us out on any of our socials. Tennessee Twos Disc Golf Podcast. We'd love to have you in any one of them to talk, comment,
Absolutely.
like, share, do whatever you want.
Yep.
But y'all have a great night, a great rest of your day tomorrow. And I am signing off. Peace.
Yep. Daniel Bacon signing off. Have a great week. Happy New Year, everybody.